Today is Tuesday, March 1st, 2022. With that, we'll say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please enter the number you wish to connect to, followed by the pound. Please hold while I try to connect you. Welcome to the conference.
Okay. If everybody looked at the agenda, does anybody have any ratifications? The only thing I have is with the Stark County Electronic.
Does anybody have any ratification?
We're not gonna deal with that all day. Our recording's working.
The Stark County Electronic.
There's two of me.
Uh-oh.
What is going on?
Someone's got it on speakerphone in the background.
We're gonna have to mute their phone.
If anybody's on the line, you need to mute your phone.
On the ratification of the agenda, just add on the Stark County Electronic Communications Retention Policy, also put record requests. With that, may I get approval of the agenda, please?
Did you add this? One last thing there. Dickinson Police Department special event permit.
Yeah, down here. Oh, you want me, okay.
Yeah, I need you to add. Add the Dickinson Police Department special event permit.
I'm sorry, also Karen says that we need to add on the Dickinson Police Department special event.
Like go with the Stark County security thing or what? That's separate on the bottom?
Does everybody approve the agenda? If so, signify by saying aye.
We need a motion.
I'll move we approve the agenda as amended. I don't know that we had a motion.
Okay, sorry.
Ken made a motion.
Oh, I'll second then.
Approved and seconded, everybody say aye.
Aye.
Right.
Motion carried. Minutes from the last meeting of February 1st, 2022. Does anybody have any corrections? If not, may I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
Bernie moves to approve. For Commissioner Marsh, is there a second?
I'll second.
Everybody signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Accounts payable. Does anybody have any questions on accounts payable? If not, may I have a motion for accounts payable?
I would move we pay the accounts payable with the addendum.
I'll second.
Approved in second. Roll call vote. Commissioner Messer.
Aye.
Commissioner Franchek.
Aye.
Commissioner Zander.
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carried. Good morning.
Am I up?
You're up.
All right, good morning, Chairman Commissioners. Stark County Sheriff's Office highlights for, February 2022. Total calls for service in February were 1,183. This is down from 1,307 last year. There's 173 traffic stops made. This is up from 160 last year. 48 of those stops from the city of Dickinson, 125 stops in the county and neighboring small towns. There's 218 public relations stops, that's down from 278 last year. 12 bar checks, that's up from 7 last year. 3 theft-related calls from service, that's down from 5 last year. There were 17 canine usages, 5 truck reg stops. She also participated in 33 other calls for service. There's 21 agency assists. This is down from 26 last month, so that's more realistic numbers than what we were dealing with a couple of months ago, if you recall. We responded to 13 accidents. 0 of those were pedestrian, 0 fatality, 2 hit and run, 2 injury, and 9 property accidents. There was 84 total arrests in February. There was another large fentanyl arrest and meth seizure that was agents from our area were tracking that. It actually happened south of Mandan, but that was destined for our area here. It was almost 2,000 fentanyl pills were seized, along with a good quantity of meth. What we're seeing is that down in Arizona, they're purchasing that for about 70 cents a pill and coming up here and selling it for about $30 to $70 a pill. So you can see the attraction there for selling fentanyl pills. Roofenol is reappearing in the area. We had an incident in our county. I can't get too more specific than that. There's also been several people that have approached me from Dickinson that believe they may have been a victim of that. Yeah, I got not much more I can say on that than that. But we put a post on Facebook about that yesterday, and it's already got about 1,100 shares, so I'm glad that's getting out there. People if people would use caution, especially when in the bars and restaurants, that would be good. We have Bowl with the Cop coming up with this Saturday from 11 to 2. That's free for kids. They get pop and pizza and bowl for free. State's Attorney Ingolstead, you're more than welcome to come help us with that event. All right. Look forward to seeing you there. Okay. Again, that's put on by the Stark County Association of Deputies. A special thank you to the Eagles Club and the Dunn County Fair Association for helping us out with that. We have Easter egg hunts coming up in Richardson, Southhardt, Dickinson, and possibly, Belfield, Southhardt, and possibly Richardson, as well as Dickinson next month. So got some very good sponsors for that. So thank you to all those involved in that. And the civil division transfer to the courthouse is almost complete. Everything's going well with that. Does anybody have any questions about that or anything else? Sorry, I tried to talk fast and get through this. All right, thank you.
Thank you. The Dickinson Police Department special event. That one, or no, which one is new?
I can do that now, though.
No, I'll bring it. Okay.
So we have from the Dickinson Police Department their annual Heroes Ball, which is going to be held April 9th. and it's going to be at the August House, and they are going to be doing raffles. I just need an approval from the commission to approve the special event permit for the Dickinson Police Department.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay.
Discussion?
So on the special event, what are we authorizing for them to be doing the raffle or what?
Yes, so it doesn't have anything to do with liquor or beer, but it has to do with them doing the raffle, and the commission is supposed to be approving any special event permits like that come in.
For the city?
No, the August House is county.
Okay, that's right. I know, yeah, I'm sorry, I apologize.
Yep.
Question regarding permit fees for that?
It was, they were charged $25 just for the special event permit.
Okay, there was a motion and a second on the approval for the local permit for the
It's a Heroes Ball.
for the Heroes Ball. May I get a motion?
There, you first and seconded it.
There's first and second.
So we're good.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The first on first Stark County security proposal.
Hi, Tracy Tews with First on First. I did talk with Commissioner Messer a little bit last week and a little bit with Corey Lee after the last meeting. It sounds like the city of Dickinson has it figured out on their end on how they're gonna run some security with us and for us. So I guess I would still like to have Corey as a backup if that's possible, but they're meeting on it and discussing it tonight at City Commission as well, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do we need a motion on that? Just, okay. NDSU. Kurt Glasgow.
I got some pamphlets here to pass out first.
Thank you.
Thanks. Make sure you get the right numbers or whatever.
Yeah, why not?
Good morning, Kurt.
Thank you.
Well, Commissioners, thanks for having us here today, or having me here today. My name is Kurt Glasso. I'm with NDSU LTAP, born and raised in North Dakota, and happened to go to NDSU and crammed 4 years into 5 years and got an engineering degree. So then I spent a couple of years in the Army, and then spent the next 43 years in the Forest Service in the grasslands, building roads, trails, campgrounds, and stuff like that. Just a little history of my background. I retired, and then LTAP, NDSU called up for Upper Great Plains Transportation Institute. They wanted somebody here to talk to the oil-producing counties on roads and gravel or whatever. So this is what we do for LTAP, the Local Technical Assistance Program. I serve the oil-producing counties, like I said, in the west part of the state here, and we put on a lot of training. The brochure tells you a lot of the training that goes on. And want to come first to thank Al Heiser and his group. They sponsored the county engineers meeting here a couple of weeks ago, and they sponsored a lot of training, and with your approval, sponsored a lot of training here. So we had gravel sessions and used the shop out here, and it really works good. And everybody likes to come to Dickinson and attend the training that we do have. One of the big things is that there's 60,000 miles of gravel in North Dakota that need maintenance and need gravel to cover them or whatever. And I would think Stark County's probably got 1,000 miles of those, 53 counties. So, and Al and his crew do a great job of doing that. One of the programs we have, there's a lot of programs other than that too, from safety to signing to right of way to a whole bunch of different things, including road design that we review or help people with that don't have engineering on staff. And, but what I'm here today for is our program for, it used to be a You Show Us program where the counties put in, show us what they're doing to improve the safety of their employees and improve their workforce and do things more efficiently. And Stark County's always been one of the leaders in that with Al and his crew. There were a couple of years ago, they had a culvert stacking pit or apparatus to put culverts so they aren't covered up with snow and all this stuff. You can get on them at any time of the year and you can load them up and one person can do that. This last year, well, we changed the name of the program to Innovative Challenge or Champions. And this last year, Al and his crew, Randy, they put together a trailer for cleaning out culverts in the wintertime and whatever with your approval, and they did a retrofit on the trailer and put a heater, power heater, pressure washer in there, a heater in there, water from that attaches right up to a fire hydrant or anything else. Has got the control so they can pull the trailer out there and unplug culverts any time of the year, usually in the fall or the winter when they freeze up or whatever. So there was a hard time getting contractors to do that and whatever. So they had this idea. And that's why I'm here today, to recognize those folks with a poster and also some recognition so you guys know what's going on. The big thing is like all our training is also available to the commissioners or to anybody in the county that would like to attend. And I know Bernie's have been on a few sessions here lately and different ones. They're pretty educational, and especially the grader training is one of the biggest things is hands-on grader training. You put the guy in the seat there and everybody knows the commissioners are the best grader operators we got in the world, but we like to have the operators get up to that status of operating and grading them. So, but with that, I'd like to thank Al Heiser and then also Randy Dillinger's here, and I'll get a picture with them afterwards, but that's what we wanted to do, to present it to them, to make sure they get the recognition they deserve and well deserved. He's there at 6 o'clock in the morning every morning. I don't know how you pay him, but I can never.
Like 4:30.
4:30. I've only tried at 6. I don't get up that early anymore, so, but, right. Do you have anything to add, Randy, to that, to the trailer, whatever?
You know, there's one other guy that he's out right now, he's sick or something, but that don't mess or should be recognized. He works with. He does good work. Team effort that makes things happen.
Right. And thank Al for all his support and all the training sessions that we do have here in Dickinson. That's welcome. We really welcome that. So, and thank the commissioners for allowing that to happen and also funding some stuff. So, thank you much.
Thank you.
Do I do a picture now in case they leave?
Good job, guys.
They can't. They can't. He'll just grab it.
Mr. Heiser, County Road and the surplus equipment.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, if you look up on the screen there, we had careers in government here at the county shop here last week. There's trying to recruit some of these young, energetic people to come work at the road department. So we had a really good time. I think they enjoy it. They like coming out, crawling around in some of the equipment and see, and hopefully with enough people coming around, maybe we can retrain some young help, because I know our road department, none of us are getting any younger. So it's good to get some people that are enthused about, type of work that we do. There's one thing on the resolution record we need for the county BRO CVD 0045070 for the commission to authorize to sign that contract. We've had quite a discussion, or not discussion, issues with this project when it was bid through the DOT. We had some issues with the minority contractors. But anyway, we're going to go ahead today and award it to Schwartz. If something else happens, the DOT will let us know if anything changes. So, and the reason it's so crucial to get it done is because as many box culverts that are going in this country today, we need to get it done. We need to get the shop drawings approved and get in line to get this thing built so we can. And actually, this project is them two bridges kind of south of Richardson. So. We just need to authorize the chairman to sign that, and I believe Karen's got the resolution from the DOT.
I didn't put it in their packets because you were gonna let me know if we were gonna take the Shorts bid or not.
Well, that's still up in there. At the conversation I had yesterday, they told me to go ahead with it. So all you have to do is just get it and then,
Okay, I do
Carla can
have
sign
it.
it.
It gets sent
Okay.
out. Yep.
I'll move to approve signature on that resolution.
I'll second that.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Another thing is surplus equipment. We've got, every year, we seem like we gather up a bunch of stuff. We got a list up there. I just need a motion to declare it surplus. There might be a few other odds and ends. We can find some stuff's at Richardson, some's at our shop. And at Old Riding Moore, we replaced it, so we need to just make a motion to declare it surplus. It'll be sold March 26th at the Sheffield auction, so it'll be advertised.
I'd offer the motion to approve the surplus equipment auction and notice of public notice on that, but I'm just wondering if we should contact other departments within our jurisdiction to see if they have anything that they might want to include in that auction, if that, Mr. Heiser, if that's,
Sure, I'd visit, actually, some of them toolboxes come from the sheriff department vehicles, so I think we kind of got some stuff up there, and I talked to and see if they need, but yeah, I mean, we just, if there's some things, no use letting them get them cluttered up.
I know that Southwest District Health Unit just made a big move and likely have some things that maybe they're interested in putting in there, and I'll contact Sherry
Okay.
with that, and if they have anything, I'll have them make arrangements directly with the road department.
Chairs, desks, and file cabinets, tradition, I don't know what they have, but they traditionally don't sell.
No, I know.
But I mean, there might be some things, just let us know, because I'm sure the publication will have to be out here probably by the end of the month, so it gets advertised for a couple weeks in the paper, so
You said March 26th?
March 26th. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, and then,
If there hasn't been a second, I'll second the motion to dispose of the surplus equipment. Oh, you did? Okay, perfect.
Okay. There's been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Kate Highlands is not here today, but I believe he sends out his report, what they're working on. Another project that we're working on, Jeremy can probably allude to a little more, is 32nd Street and 107th Avenue. That's just where we stopped paving last year. We want to make that complete loop back to 22 because, you know, there's really no good way to get around east side of Dickinson with anything at all other than coming down 94, going all the way to exit 56. So our goal is with this ARPA funds that we received is grade it now, and then as future funding comes along, we can pave it. Because I'm a firm believer, if you can rebuild the road and let it sit for a year or two, then you won't get all these settled spots that you see when you go on the highways. A freshly graded highway and paving the same year usually results in a lot of bumps and humps, so. And then I'll let the engineers do their reports. Crack sealing, we started crack sealing, of course, this morning. Mother Nature kind of put a screeching halt to that with the pavement being wet. So we're cutting some trees down, they're hanging in right away. We go with the plow trucks in these subdivisions, they raise heck with our beacons and stuff, so we're cutting some of them. And then here at 10 o'clock, we have a opening on some, every year we take hourly rental rates for rental equipment, and then we take a bid on gravel crushing, and then on miscellaneous paving projects. Usually we get a quote for that. If we got a spot we need paving or something. And then, and along with some of this funding, we got some subdivision and some other work that we're gonna put a set of plans together and possibly bid it, because there's gonna be a lot of paving going on around Dickinson, and I really like to take advantage of that when there's lots of competition. So we'll be coming up with them here in the future, what we're gonna be doing there, so. Other than that, I don't really have anything else.
There was some right-of-way fees were paid in our accounts payable. What project is
Them are
that?
for, I believe, they were down, these two that we talked about with this project we just bid onto DOT. And then the other one was out the ones we did last year over by south of Belfield on Kabishtas, and there was a few other ones in there.
It's temporary right away fees.
Yeah, fee and for construction easements.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, we have interstate engineering.
Morning, Commission.
Good morning.
Just a quick update on our design project for 38th Street Southwest Bridge replacement. Hydraulic report and alternative analyses are ready for the TSNL meeting scheduled for March 9th. The geotechnical report has been received. Landowners have provided verbal acceptance of the easement terms, and we will begin right-of-way plating next week. Solicitations of views have been circulated, including utility operators. Documented CADX will be completed based on their responses. The design surface has been completed, and we will be applying for the 404 permit soon. Any questions on that design project? Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Northern Plains, Jeremy Wood.
Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
A few updates. Briefly talk about the construction projects. We have the final records submitted to the DOT. The central office is reviewing the final records for the 30th Street project, so not a whole lot to report until the DOT goes through their final review. Same thing with 127th and 131st. The construction's complete, except for seeding, and we're working on the final documents for that project. Some of the projects that have been bid but not started yet is the 38th Street, just southwest of Richardson by Dwayne Sattler's. That project was bid at the last meeting. Wilson Construction is a low bidder, and he has mentioned a June starting date. It's probably a 2 or 3 week project, but probably starting as June is what he is anticipating. Next project, the 83rd and 86th Avenue, was just awarded a few minutes ago to Schwartz Construction. They have indicated a starting date of July. We have a completion date, I think, in, I believe, mid-August, so trying to beat the harvest work that's going to be down there. So that's kind of what we're trying to do with that one, is get that done before harvest. Some of the other projects over by Belfield, I'm going to actually skip ahead to the 131st project. Good news on that project. At the last meeting, it did not get approved for any state funding, but in the last couple weeks, there was some leftover House Bill 1505 money. So that project did get funded through that. It'll actually, I think, pay for most of the project, if not all of it. We're looking at bidding that project sometime this year with construction, possibly this year, but probably most likely sometime next year for construction. But still got to go through the DOT process and the core permit and some other things, but we're hoping to get it bid this year with construction next year at the latest. Also 131st north of Belfield, that has some federal funding. It's a little bit different than the state funding, but that's kind of the same timeline. We're looking at bidding that this year with construction in 2023. And then last, Al mentioned it briefly, 32nd and 107th Avenue. It's about 6.5 miles that we're looking at surveying and designing. The design is actually fairly close to being done, or will be done in a couple weeks. We're looking at bidding that. Hopefully there's a few things that have to happen, but potentially in May, bid opening. We got to get a core permit, got to get some easements in place, but if things fall in place, we'll have the design done for May bid opening. What we're looking at doing is just doing the grading work this year, and then paving possibly 23 or whenever funding would allow, but we would at least do the grading this year is what the plan is. Other than that, I guess that's kind of kind of it for the projects that are on my list.
Jeremy, maybe you should kind of brief on the issue we had with that project. So I think some people in their mind are wondering what the DBE, maybe you could just kind of mention how they got to try and meet that goal.
Sure. I probably wasn't privy to all the discussions, but that, what we call the Richardson South project, or 83rd Avenue and 86 by, Eric Kuntz and Messers live down there, and Conlon and Gebhardt, that project that was just awarded. The DOT sets a goal for a DBE, or a disadvantaged business enterprise, which could be minority owned or disadvantaged in some way. The goal is, if you're going to bid it as a prime contractor, this particular project you had 4% to try to meet. What happened is, I think the low bidder actually met the 4%, but he didn't get his paperwork in, as from what I understand. So they went to the second place bidder, which was Schwartz Construction. They were under their 4%. I think they initially kicked their bid out. I think they've reconvened last week and went through their paperwork. And even though they were under the 4%, they made a good faith effort to be that 4%. So it sounds like the DOT is going to award it to Schwartz. If they don't award it to Schwartz, it'll go to the third place bidder, which is their DB is way less than 4%, which I think would probably be kicked out again. So you'd potentially go to the fourth place bidder. So every time, obviously, you disqualify a bidder, the price goes up. So it's kind of the government hoops that you got to go through. So that being said, there wasn't a whole lot of difference between the low bidder and the second place bidder. I think it was about $15,000. So there's cost there, don't get me wrong, but it's not $200,000 of extra cost. So that's what I know of the situation. It's really out of the county's control at this point to award it. It's mostly what the DOT does their detailed paperwork after the bid. So there's really not much the county can really do at this point, other than let the DOT go through their process.
Okay.
So that's kind of one of there's obviously a benefit of getting federal funding, but there's a lot of paperwork that follows through at the end. Any more questions or anything else I can try to answer? Thank you.
Thank you. We will go down to the City of Belfield lift station funding request.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Bruce Bear from the City Council of Belfield. And I believe you have our proposal from Interstate Engineering on our lift stations for a total cost of $2.3 million. And I believe that's going out for bids here hopefully shortly, because we need to get them replaced, because they keep going down on us, and usually on Saturdays and Sundays. So the City of Belfield's looking for some assistance with that project. And this is not approved by the City of Council of Belfield yet, but I believe that based on my numbers, the city could come up with about $1 million to $1.2 million of those funds out of their coffers without having to raise any taxes. We did apply for the low interest loan for that also. But if we can get some help from the Stark County, that would be great. We really don't want to raise our water rates, which if we borrow the money, we'd probably have to raise the water, put about a $20 fee per month on our citizens' water bills. So. Any questions?
Mr. Bear, the low interest rate, that loan, have you heard anything back on that one, or?
We have not, no. There's actually a public hearing March 10th on that that's required for that loan application.
Okay.
So your funding sources basically would be the loan that you're looking at doing the cash
our
reserve,
cash.
the cash reserve, and then
Yes.
anything that the county potentially.
Yeah.
So does, I don't know if one of the civils could answer this, but is there any, like, I know rural development has these grants and programs and financing mechanisms. Have you looked into that?
We had applied, Ernest Engineering had applied for a grant for us, and we got, it's on a point system, and we didn't get it. I can't remember what we rated on it, but we rated out of the score to get that grant.
That one wasn't through the, I think Neil is you're talking about the, Stark Development?
No, the rural development has, they develop small communities, develop water lines, sewer lines,
Do you remember
water and
what
sewer
grant that
projects.
was? Okay.
Yeah, okay.
We really don't want to take our coffers down too far, because I know the next project we probably have coming up is we've been having a lot of root problems in our system, and so we may be looking at lining our sewer septic lines.
So the other question I have is, I don't know the bill number, but in the special session, there was also some state money that was allocated back out for infrastructure, water and sewer as well. I don't know the details. I just remember it being there. It may be not even qualified for it, but I'm just wondering if that was looked at as well.
That I couldn't answer that. I'll make a note of that and ask Interstate Engineering. I thought Bob was gonna be here from Interstate Engineering too, but
He
unless he's
notified
coming
me.
later, but,
He notified me this morning and said he couldn't make it.
okay.
And the total project again is the 2.2?
2.2, 2.3, something like that, yeah. With the big one being our east system.
Okay.
And we've already put, the middle system, I think, is only like 60-some thousand that we need for that. That's because in the last year, we put in we rebuilt that one within the last 2 years.
And then again, refresh my memory, you have about how much available from your,
I would say about $1 million to $1.2 million we could take out without causing any.
okay, thank you.
Commissioner Messer, are you gonna look into that bill and see?
I can make a call. I'll do what I can.
Okay.
Yep, do some background on that.
And I can visit with Interstate to see if they know anything about that too.
Okay. So after the public hearing on March 10th, you're gonna know more about the low interest loan, correct?
Yeah.
So then you'll have more of a solid number of kind of what you're looking at?
Well, if we wouldn't have to borrow that money, it would be great, because if we have to borrow the money, then we've got to raise rates to the consumers to pick that up, to be able to pay it back.
Okay.
Because we don't have that room in our budget to pay back that loan without passing it on to the citizens, so we prefer not to do that.
Okay.
So if we get help from Stark County, then we would need to do that.
Okay.
Because we actually applied for, I think, 1.7 million for the loan, because it doesn't cost anything to apply for it.
Yep.
And you only pay for what you use, so.
I definitely want to see us help you out. But, let's see what comes up after that meeting.
You bet, and we'll appreciate it.
About the levies and all that, I mean, could you meet too? With the levies, and what I'm asking is if Karen could go to Belfield and meet with the levies and everything and see where we're all sitting.
Well, I guess I kind of already know where Belfield is sitting with levies, and they have one of the highest city levies out of all the cities.
Oh, they do?
Yes. So I don't think that raising their taxes anymore would really be an option, or they're going to have some angry citizens.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why instead of increasing levies, we look at attaching fees onto the water bills to help pay for some of the stuff we do.
Okay. Okay.
And you said about $20 each water bill to pay for this.
That's what was estimated by Interstate Engineering, yeah.
To cover the loan.
Mm-hmm.
That loan is what, a 10-year loan or what?
I believe it's a 20.
I mean, I know we have some money. It's like we do have some small cities coming. I think maybe that was some of our intentions is to help out the small communities. But we will have to wait and see what your numbers are and then wait till the other cities come forward also.
Sounds good. Thank you.
And then I'll keep you posted.
Alrighty, thank
Okay,
you.
yep,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thank you.
The City of Southhardt funding request, please. Mr. Floyd Hurt?
Floyd's not here.
Maybe he'll be here later.
Okay. City of Richardson funding request. Tom Roll?
Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Tom Roll. Well, I guess we were looking for funding too on our streets. I guess you should have some of the project and stuff for our streets. It's about a $7 million project, I guess, mainly is what we're looking for help with. 60% of that will be special and 40% the city plans on paying for.
Have you looked through any type of grants or have you applied through any kind of grant system yet?
I guess we did, didn't we? We did do some, yes. This is Kevin Remington.
If I could just jump in here, I'm Kevin Remington, just recently on the Richardson City Commission. I'm the holdover from the last commission, if you will. We ended up a big turnover this last election in 4 out of 5 positions. I'm the lone holdover. Tom had asked if I would come along just because of the continuity of the process and what we've gone through. This started about, I'll try not to go on too long, this started about 8 years ago, and they've been to the well several times, they being the city commission of Richardson, trying to put different proposals in front of the people. The first one came back and, you know, it was like the yellow brick road, and people were like, no way, we're not having none of it. And it's understandable because when the city of Richardson did a lagoon project in 2014, they did 100% special assessment on that. Came back, those specials are still running. Now, we do have, you mentioned the levy. We have one of the lower levies, and we're kind of proud of that. You will go back and see, I'm sure Ms. Richard could verify that over the last 3 years, that levy has been creeping up. And that's all part of a plan to creep that levy up without the shock effect to people of, oh my gosh, my taxes went from X to Y. So anyway, we have, as far as grants and things, and I'm not suggesting that the members of the commission have that feeling because I know you guys deal with it too. You're always looking for money to try to take care of the county. I get it. We're in the same boat. People have this impression that there's these pools of money laying out there, and there isn't. Occasionally things come available, then the requirements to, you know, qualify for those or this laundry list of things. And yeah, just as the gentleman from Belfield mentioned, a lot of times you get booted. Our engineering firm that we have contracted, SEH, is a regional firm, and they do have an individual that is what their job is to search out, whether they be federal, local, state grants, any other types of funding assistance. They have a person that's all they do. That is their job. And we have been on 2 conference calls with that individual and the senior engineer, just back checking, hey, is there anything else? Did anything else come out, you know? If you notice, I don't know, I can't speak for sure, but I know since I've been on the commission, I haven't been over here asking for money. We do try to stand on our own 2 feet as best we can. But as you all know, these small towns, their infrastructure, I mean, our streets, it's 45 years. Mm-hmm. It's 45 years. I had mentioned a little bit to Commissioner Messner earlier that, you know, I've identified personally about $10 million worth of things. And this is not like improvements. This is maintenance. This is our sewer. We also have a lift station. It's not quite as big as the one in Belfield. But we have one that's probably going to run about $500,000 according to the engineers that needs to be done. The street project is what's right in front of us. That lift station has to come quite closely behind, and behind that there's a few. We had all of our sewer lines scoped. And so we know, we have a very good concept of what's really bad and what's okay and, what can last a while. But there's probably $1 million to $1.5 million over a period of years where we're going to need to go in and address the worst ones first and then, work our way forward, going forward. So that's just kind of the one over the world for us. And we do continue to look for funding, and that's why we're standing here today, seeing you guys as potentially another resource. And again, understanding you've got a whole county to take care of. All these other small communities are the same way. And I would venture to say that every small community in the state of North Dakota is in a similar, we don't have the tax basis. We don't get that revenue that some of the bigger places go, but the bigger places have additional issues that they have to deal with. So we're here a little bit hat in hand just to explain our situation and, anything that the commission would be able to do to help out. Anything helps. But again, when you look at that, like I said, there's probably $10 million worth of projects. Now, we did try to drop the burden on the taxpayers. We have leveraged 60% special assessment of that project will go to the people. 40% we're using our oil and gas. Now that has been, I won't say a nightmare, but that has been a difficulty because then we had to go through USDA because Bank of North Dakota would only take the sure thing collateral, which was the special assessments, whereas USDA is willing to work with us, and we appreciate that. It's just you get to the federal level and there's a whole nother level of red tape and bureaucracy, as I'm sure you guys can appreciate, and we're still getting through that, but I think we're going to get that. So I think we're going to find the funding. The difference comes in what's the impact on our taxpayer. And then we have to go and look at the next project and then the next project because they all, as you know, they tie in together. Now one can ask, why didn't you do something with the sewer lines when you're tearing up your streets and da-da-da-da-da? Some of our sewer lines are as deep as 30 feet. So you have no place to put the overburden. So when I crunch the numbers on even a 75% cost share from USDA program that we looked at, I know Mott is looking at taking advantage of that. New England has taken advantage of that. For us, the additional cost of transporting all that material and bringing it back, it ended up costing us more in the end. So subject to your questions, I don't know if that's a long response to what you asked, but I want to give you a little bit of background on where we're at and why we're here.
Well, that's helpful. So this is a 21 project or a 22 project you want to do this year, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes, everything should be starting this spring.
So the same question we asked Belfield is, what do you have available to you right now to contribute towards the 2.8 million that you need?
There's probably a total of about $1 million in oil and gas that could be used. However, when we did this road project, we also and I would need data in front of me to give you hard numbers. We also did the plan. We raised the city sales tax by 0.5% to help do this. We leveraged the oil and gas, but at the same time, simultaneously, we've already started putting away money for the maintenance on this project. That's estimated, the first total chip seal is estimated about $500,000, and we're looking at probably year 5 to 7 maybe. We're going to go off the engineers. We're going to let the experts kind of lead us down that road. We probably will have a crack seal within the first 24 months, but that'll be considerably less. We'll take that out of hide. That won't be a big issue. Does that help? Where some of that money, the reason I've said that is some of that money we're holding back for the maintenance, so we're not going back to the people yet again. We're going to try to make that all work, and we're going to make it all work.
So your lift stations and everything else on that part of it all,
those are separate projects, ma'am? Is that the question?
Yes.
Is that part of the 7 million?
Yes.
No, that's in addition to. That's what I'm saying. The street project right now is estimated at 7 million.
Okay.
Okay. And then the lift station would be about $500,000.
Yeah,
We have cursory numbers on the lift station project.
Okay.
And then the lining, that's the part that we haven't even got to the point where we've gotten solid numbers on the lining. That's why I gave you, those were my numbers,
Yep.
about 10 million in projects coming up over the next several years.
Okay.
Because see, once we get leveraged on a $7 million project, now we don't have a kitty to go to for the next thing. So now we're like, how do we make this happen? You know, and again, I appreciate that probably the county and every other small community in Stark County is in the same boat, but that's where we're at.
Okay. I don't know how, I mean, the other commissioners feel. It would be just nice to have numbers in front of us on all the, you know, on all the projects, what you have to use on
And
them.
realistically, the number, okay, so let's just take out the lining, that's anecdotal evidence, so you know where we're at. We're not gonna have those numbers for quite some time. I don't even know that the lift station project is gonna go forward in 2022. Like I say, right now, what's in front of us is a $7 million road project. And I just wanted to give you that for color on what we have coming down, because you could say, well, if Bank of North Dakota is gonna do, you know, the 60% because of the specials and USDA is gonna fund the other, and why are you standing here?
Yeah.
And the reason we're here is because we have these other projects coming forward, so if we can lessen the impact on the taxpayers now, you get where I'm going.
I get.
Okay.
I think that this is something that we listen to all the small towns and then put it all together and see how we can help out everybody.
That's all we could ask.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, that only gives us for right now 6 minutes.
Oh, Madam Chairman, Mr. Hurt did show up.
Oh, I
I
don't,
don't know if he can be done in 6 minutes or not, but,
we have a 10 o'clock.
okay.
Mr. Hurt will,
I'll be brief.
okay.
I've heard that.
Good morning.
Yeah.
This town of Southhart's kind of in a bind. When the town was developed, they run 3-inch water lines and 2-inch laterals. And of course, the fire hydrants, the fire trucks back then could load off of a 2-inch lateral. And now we're kind of in a problem in the old part of the town. And we have to load the fire trucks over the top with a hose. The project is $4,910,000.
4 million?
Yes, sir. And needless to say, you know, we got 310 people in town. And from what I was told, the average income's about 41,000. So it's pretty hard to tax them to do this project, and it is kind of important because the new fire trucks, you just can't hook them on some of the fire hydrants. That's my story.
Has your auditor, anybody helped you with any grant system? To get anything going with a grant system to see?
We were told, I don't know, we were told that I needed to come to you and tell you what I got, and then we could get some kind of grant. Says, I thought we needed to do paperwork first, but I don't know, they said.
If you're referring to myself, I did want you to come forward and just explain what's going on here so we can start working and help you guys. I mean, you're gonna have to help yourselves too, but we gotta set a plan and get going on it, because it's, I mean, to have a fire system that you can't use for, I mean, that's pretty deadly.
Yeah. We do have, you know, on outlining years, I think it's 79, we went down the west side of town with a 6-inch line. And on that line, we have hydrants, but then you gotta lay hoses out. So, I don't know if you want this here, I'll leave it. If not,
Please,
Yes.
please.
Is that your engineering?
can I come forward?
Yes, you could come forward. Yes. I'll make copies. Or Karen, can you make copies for everybody? Okay. Thank you.
Sit.
Do you have a meeting coming up at all where you're gonna discuss any of that
Well,
with grants or anything?
we have discussed it and rediscussed it, but we just don't have the money to step out into a big project like this, or part of it.
So my suggestion with the grants, and this is what I kind of was suggesting to Bernie when he brought it up, is that you need to pay somebody to go out and apply for those grants for you. And so that's a much smaller cost than what they'd be applying for in grants. But I would be willing to work with your auditor. She wants to talk to me and see if we can figure something out with her budget. I know that you guys don't levy much as far as taxes or anything goes. But I can at least look it over with her and see if we could get a plan together to contract somebody to apply for some of that funding.
Excuse me, I talked to several of them people, and whoever I talked to, I think they were shysters. They wanted a lot of money first, up front, and then so much a month. And, you know, and then if they find a project, they want 1% of the project. And so I don't know.
Just to apply?
To prepare grants and find grants for you.
Commissioner Zander?
Yeah, I know from previous experience with Mr. Hurt, have you got Roosevelt Custer involved in any of this as far as helping you applying for grants and things like that?
I talked to that lady here once, and they didn't have any money. But I sure would be willing to approach it again.
Yeah, I don't hear much about what's going on with Roosevelt Custer anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know we provide funding for that organization as well. And sometimes I wonder if we're getting our dollar value here.
I don't know.
So I'm just throwing that out there.
Okay, appreciate it.
Thank you.
You bet.
I know it's a struggle, Floyd.
Yeah.
We've talked about that in the
Especially when you
past.
got young people, waitresses and stuff. We do have some oil people too, but the nearest I could find out, the average income is 41 or 42,000. And with the inflation, excuse me, the way it is, pretty tough on them.
Hey,
to tax them.
We're all feeling the pain.
I know.
41,000 looks pretty good to me right now.
I know.
Me too, but.
Okay.
Thanks,
And so
Floyd.
then they
You bet.
agree to-
Thank you.
Anything else?
No.
Okay, thank
Nope,
you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for your promptness. That was quick.
He was right on it. Okay.
We are ready for the 10 a.m. bid opening for road equipment, gravel and paving.
Before we do that, we talked about this project awarding to Schwartz. I didn't check my emails, but Karen, you got one at 9 o'clock. They are now chosen to award it to Wilson Construction. I don't have a clue because Schwartz's DBE goal was we had 3.34 and this guy's got 0.27, so don't be surprised if this gets thrown out and it might go somewhere else. Out of my control. So now I've got a resolution here from the DOT to award it to Wilson Construction, so
And
I
what
guess
was- What was the price difference on?
I'm not sure right offhand.
I guess from the Schwartz bid to Wilson bid was about 45,000 more from really the second place to third place bid.
And the first one that got thrown out to Schwartz was 15,000, if I heard you correctly. Right?
It's about a little over 20 actually. I guess from the true low bid to what is the third place bid is about 70 grand.
Okay.
And I apologize to the commission. I mean,
That's okay.
Al and I, really, it's kind of out of our control. The DOT sets these DB goals, and we kind of get our marching orders from the DOT. So it's, sorry for the confusion, but it's kind of the way it goes, I guess.
So here's the new resolution. So, like I said, I'm just wondering if if we couldn't put something in place, because like I said, to get this signed, if they would throw out third place bid and decide to award it to the fourth place bid, so the board could have Commissioner Arthur's authorization to sign, because I honestly believe that this is gonna get thrown out too, and it probably go to fourth bid.
And who takes care of that money when they keep throwing them out? Stark County.
Well, it's 80% Fed and 20% county, but yes, it does. And from the low bid to the high bid's over $100,000 difference, so.
Yep.
Like I said, let's just move on, and you sign this one here, but I would like the board to give Carla authorization to sign a new resolution if it does so happen to come up, so we don't have to wait for another meeting, because like I said, this,
I'll offer that motion.
Just a quick question then under discussion. So, so the DOT controls all this to include rebidding the total project? And I suppose
yes. Actually, this DBE stuff is controlled by the feds.
Okay.
They've got a set of rules, they gotta follow them. So, yes, the DOT will rebid it. I don't know if they will. I think they go by percentage above. The total project was 1.2,119,000. So I don't know. It's been real frustrating because this bid took place February 11th. So we've been, but it is what it is.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
and then on the we've got gravel crushing bid, miscellaneous paving. Traditionally I think we've opened up the gravel crushing bid. The paving bid is kind of. I don't know if we got more than one, but what I would suggest is go ahead.
We vote on the signing,
Sure.
please. Okay, we had a motion and a second for the chair to sign. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you, Al. Go ahead.
Okay, and now I guess what I would suggest is I can take the other bids over, make sure the contractor's license is in there rather than you open them all unless you so choose, but I would like to publicly read the crushing bid because that's, and the rest of the bids are just hourly rental rates or some fencing quotes.
Okay, so let me open it real quick. We only got one for crushing and stockpiling gravel. That's why I'm checking their contractor license. No.
It'll probably be just a cubic yard per cubic yard price.
This is per cubic yard.
Fisher Industries, price per cubic yard is $3.72. The total bid amount is $186,000.
See, that amount will vary depending on what we crush. It's just a estimate.
How's that compared to last year?
I think it's up a little. Fuel's up some too. I think last year might have been top maybe 350 something.
Okay.
And then the rest of them, I would suggest if it's okay, I'll just open them up, make sure the contractor, unless you want to. I think you should.
We should do a motion to accept that bid from Fisher on the crushing. It's
Could I get a motion to accept the bid on?
So I'll make that motion too.
Okay. There's a motion on the table to accept the bid for Fisher for crushing.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Moved in second. All in favor, say aye. Oh,
Aye.
never mind, it's about money. Commissioner Zander.
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh.
Aye.
Commissioner Messer.
Aye.
Commissioner Franchek.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carried.
I'll take a look at these here and then see if the contractor likes everything appropriate stuff, and then we can get a list so we can advertise who, or put it in our resolution that who
Okay.
all bid for it.
Okay.
That'll save some time.
There you go. And we are going to go into break.
breaks.
Lives. She listens, she connects, and she cares for each of these students.
I always think of Kristen as the giving tree. She's someone who's always looking for a way to help and support others. I would say that your heart is a true servant leader.
Compassion is the word I think of when I think of Kristen Seeks. From a school district standpoint, Kristen has cast a stone across our waters and made many ripples. But these stones she has cast have helped start many waves across our community. Projects such as 25 Days of Giving, the Backpack Program, and our school pantry are some of the stones she has cast to make a difference in our community.
It has been an absolute privilege to work with you the past 7 years. I'm just very grateful and thankful to work with someone like you who is able to lead and lead by example for others, especially with it being primarily volunteer ran.
Kristen, you were our inspiration for 25 Days of Giving. I define integrity as who you are when no one's looking, and that is you, Kristen.
Some ways that you've inspired us and our family is through the 25 Days of Giving, and your dream of that has really impacted our family's lives at the holiday season.
In December of 2017, my family got involved with the 25 Days of Giving. One of my favorite activities was delivering the Christmas meals to families. Delivering to these families and seeing the gratitude, getting the well wishes, the hugs, the thanks for giving us something bright to think about this Christmas spirit has just changed our family's way of thinking.
But we sent out a message just to have some of those people who you have impacted that are not in this room and send a note of thanks and to you and your family, because they really do a lot for this community, and we're just so very grateful.
Kristen, you're my favorite, so I'll give you a hug for this. Come here. And for your good one, too. You're a good guy.
You exemplify what the award says, and I hope that others are inspired by you to get active in our community, active in Stark County. We have so much good in this community. I'd like to present you with the Stark County Spirit of Excellence Award. Thank you so much, Kristen.
Thank you so much.
And on behalf of the city, this is the Mayor's Commendation Coin. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I didn't prepare anything. But I thank you all for coming here. Thank you, for the nomination. We all know that I don't do this for this. I mean, it's, I do it for the kids and the families, the people in our community who need the things that we can provide. And I always say, the things that I do, it takes a village. It's not just me, it's all of us working together. And I would say that every one of us in this room work really well together to make sure that we can make a difference in our community, that we can make our community better, better for the kids, the families. I love to do it. So, yes, thank you all.
With thanksgiving for this faithful work done for the common good, we ask that you would inspire all of us to live so generously as Kristen seeks. Amen.
Kristen really is a special person, and you'll notice throughout the presentation, there's tons of people coming forward and saying nice things about her. And my favorite thing about the presentations, honestly, is it's a room full of positivity. A lot of things that are said at the presentations are things that, quite honestly, aren't said until the day that the person dies at a prayer service. And, I don't think that people say enough positive things to people when they're living. So that's what I enjoy most about the presentations and the whole process of the awards program. And you'll notice during the video that we did this time. I always request letters from our congressmen, and this time we were fortunate enough to have one from all three of them, Congressman Kelly Armstrong, Senator Kevin Kramer, and also Senator John Hoeven all submitted letters, so we were very appreciative of that. We had 37 nominations, and she was the ultimate recipient of it. Some things that we're doing differently for 2022, I met with the awards team at the sheriff's office, and we are going to be doing the award quarterly going into 2022. We feel that it's just going to add more value to the award and more meaning to receiving the award by awarding it less often. So the deadlines will be, well, it was February 15th, so the mayor's recently selected another recipient. We'll be awarding that in the upcoming future. May 15th will be the next deadline after that, and then August 15th, and then November 15th will be the deadlines following that. So as always, I thank you for your support and letting me share this, the good people in our county with you all. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will, excuse me, sorry. We will move down to the City of Dickinson Planning and Zoning Board appointment.
We're picking one of these three, is that what we're doing?
Picking all three.
So due to the expansion of the ETZ, they need 3 members on the city planning and zoning, and so
Those are the only 3 applicants, do you know?
there was 4. Yeah, I just know there was 4, and they reviewed, and they've recommended these 3.
Are these all within the ETZ then?
Yes,
Okay.
I think their resumes are somehow attached or something here. Yep. So with that, I would move that I don't know if we nominate or appoint the following 3 individuals to the City of Dickinson's Planning and Zoning Commission representing the ETZ. Aaron Johansson, Mike Schwab, and Richard Haugen.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Okay, with that, we have a nomination and a second. We don't have any discussion. We will go into a roll call vote. Commissioner Messer.
Aye.
Commissioner Franchek.
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh.
Aye.
Commissioner Zander.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carried. Stark County Housing Authority Board appointment.
Do we have one, do we get one appointment or 2?
Who's got the portfolio now?
My portfolio. I haven't seen any of these applications before though, so.
And how many are we?
You have not seen any of these, Bernie?
No, I have not.
Being,
I don't know if we need 1 or 2.
I guess with the fact of Bernie being that portfolio holder, maybe we should table this till, and put it on the agenda for next month.
The Stark County Housing Authority has said that right now, they're kind of functioning without a,
Yeah, we don't have enough people.
And-
right.
and
Okay.
They have a meeting tomorrow at 11 a.m.
Do we know whether we get one or two? If we get two, it's easy because we have only two applicants, right?
I'm pretty sure that, Ken, did you not just get put on the board?
Well, I was thinking I did.
I think you did too. If you want to move on to your weed appointment one and go back, I'm gonna go grab my paper and make sure that it's one or two.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
But I'm just wondering, as long as you're checking, was I appointed to that at the time we did portfolios, right?
I believe
Yes.
so. Yes.
Okay. And is Commissioner Marsh still on that, or did I take his place?
No,
both-
I'm pretty sure that you're both on
I
it.
think we're both on.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
So, but I'm gonna go grab it real quick, okay?
right.
So if you'll move on to the weed board one.
Yes.
Commissioner, I thought if I could interject, I have to take off, but I opened all them quotes and stuff we got. Two of them did not have a contractor's license in it. The rest are all good, so
Okay.
we won't use them too.
Okay.
And we're gonna get them we'll have them posted in the minutes of the meeting, who they all were that bid.
Okay.
All right.
So
Do we need to make
Do
a-
you want to make a motion?
I
for-
think we should accept all the bids except two, or quotes. Two of them did not have contractor's license.
So
Okay.
I'd make the motion then to accept the contractor bids based on Mr. Heiser's recommendation from his review of those.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Without that, Commissioner Zander.
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh.
Aye.
Commissioner Franchek.
Aye.
Commissioner Messer.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carried.
Thank you. I gotta run.
Thank you.
So now are we gonna go through those bids at this meeting yet?
We do not go through those bids at this meeting, Al.
It would take literally hours because I check for contractor's license and proof of insurance. And we've always done this in the past.
So, but you're gonna get that information.
She already has it.
Okay, great.
And
Thank
we
you.
can put that in the minutes to people that bid so they know, and we're gonna leave the two out that didn't have contractor's licenses.
Okay.
Good,
Thank you.
good.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move down instead, we did not have any planning and zoning, so we will move down to the weed appointment. With the weed appointment, there was two applications. One of them was Shelley Zeman, the other one was Farron Richards. Shelley Zeman was appointed as the new appointment for the weed board. With also looking at that we will need to open up another spot in the weed board because there was also another member that did not live in the district that he was representing.
Which one is that? Do we have to confirm the weed board recommendation or not?
Yes, the weed board recommendation from the county weed board is for Shelley Zeman, and may I have a,
Okay, I'll move that we appoint Shelley Zeman to the Stark County Weed Board.
No, second.
okay, moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? With that, I ran addresses on that. Guess that's something that we need to maybe run addresses yearly because there is another member. As per century code, they need to live in their district or reside in their district they're representing. And Dwight Schenk does not, and he is not for a few years.
So you need authorization to start that process then?
I need authorization to open up that process for that area.
So what district is that? That's the North Central one?
North Central over by the Dick Taylor area.
Okay. But he lives in North Dickinson.
Mm-hmm.
And North Dickinson is not in the Stark County, under the jurisdiction of the Stark County Weed Board?
No.
Really? Okay.
I had talked to the chair and they said that they knew that he didn't live in that zone. They just kind of grandfathered it in for the last 4 or 5 years. But that is against century code.
Does the city of Dickinson, are they actively involved in weed control?
They have their own.
They do.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
Yep.
but their charge is a little different. They don't go out and spray weeds. So the Dickinson City Weed Board goes out and they have a couple of individuals. They'll drive around and they'll find your lot or my lot, and they'll say, hey, there's spurge on there or Canada thistle, and say, take care of it. If you don't have it taken care of in 5 days, 7 days, whatever that thing is, then they'll contract with one of their vendors to go get it sprayed. And I don't know, their public rights of way or their public roads regarding weeds. I don't know. I know that they told me they don't own any equipment. I was under the understanding that they did, and they said they don't. So I guess I'm surprised to hear that the city of Dickinson is in its own little exclusive weed board and are excluded from our whatever district that is. I think it's the North Central one. So
I can't give
but
an
it is what it is. So.
I can't give an exact date. It was, or the time, I'd probably be off. It was like 2-3 years ago, maybe a little bit more. The city did contract with the county,
Yes.
but they got such a low amount of money that the county was in the hole.
Is there a current districting map for the weed board? Because if the county commission originally had City of Dickinson within its districting map and hasn't changed those lines, then the City of Dickinson, until that gets changed, is still gonna have, however that's districted it out, is gonna be the district lines. That's, because we dealt with this a couple months ago.
This is the most recent map I have, and I show that Dwight lives in that. I mean, it does represent that.
Yeah, and that's a point of clarification. If the city of Dickinson is excluded from Stark County Weed Board, that's one thing. But if the city of Dickinson and he lives in that particular, I'm pretty positive it's the North Central District, then he should be allowed to serve. But again, I don't know the technical part of it, but that's just what I know.
All I was told is he does not live in his district. He does not reside in his district
Oh, I
that
know
he
where
is
he lives. I mean,
as he's representing.
and he lives within the confines of that North Central District. So the definition is whether or not the city of Dickinson qualifies as living in the North Central District. That's the point of clarification. I don't know the answer
And,
to that.
you know, with the joint powers agreement, we could probably make that work.
Okay. It's whatever.
The city, and, you know, I'm not sure exactly, but for instance, on vector control, you know, the city does not do any vector control, so by statute, again, I'm not trying to step on Amanda's expertise, but if the city doesn't provide vector control by statute, we're required to do it in the city. So I don't know if there's any overlap on that, and maybe Amanda can find some kind of, I think I know where you're going with that, Neil, is that we should be combining as much with city on things like vector control, weed control.
I mean, yeah, I agree. But the fact of the matter is we had a tough time filling this position last time. We had to open it up for at large, and then we closed it, and then we found 2 people to apply, and the weed board made this recommendation. And I know Dwight Shank has been an active member, and so why force him off if he qualifies as a weed board member? Why force him off the weed board, and then we can't find anybody to take him, and then we got a vacancy again. So
can we?
So we should get a clarification. I don't know the answer.
The legal question to this is whether that districting map includes the City of Dickinson. If it does, then he's qualified. If it doesn't, and you don't want it to, then you need to redraw your districting lines. That's the legal question that's presented and needs to be answered.
And Dickinson started their own weed board as of 2 years ago. So we will have to ask them where their lines are. And it's not about forcing him out. It was just century code.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we had the choice of go at large. Jessica was a little bit off, so we got her off the committee. So if this is the fact that another member does not live in the residing area which he represents, this is what we have to follow.
Yeah, and I don't know all the dynamics of why the city went out on their own. I would still, based on what I know, based on what I've heard today, I would say the city of Dickinson does reside or does lay within the South North Central District, that Mr. Shank should be able to allowed to serve if he wishes, and if the board wishes to keep him as an active member. I think the separate discussion is how we can do more things, like Commissioner Zander said, collectively with the city, so that we can get these things done in a cost-efficient manner and effective as well. So
I agree with you. We have to do one for all.
I think what we need to do is just wait for determination on what the boundaries are and whether or not this individual qualifies under our current rules.
Well, if that's the districting map and it includes the city of Dickinson and he resides in it, then he's a qualified member. If the county now wants to redraw those lines to take out city of Dickinson, you can do that, and then that's when we'll have a different discussion.
I don't think that serves a purpose.
I agree with you.
Yeah, so.
So that's the case, he can stay on and we can just move on.
So if we leave the districting lines as it is and leave it in Dickinson, then will that overlap to where if the city also gets a weed board?
They have a weed board.
They have
They have one, without a doubt. I've gotten a nasty gram from them.
There should probably be
But I got-
conversations
I've
between
got-
the county and the city about,
I've got toad flax on one of my lots, which I'd never heard of, but.
Bernie, have you ever got a notice?
whose responsibilities lay
Yeah.
where.
Well, it'd probably be appropriate for you as that portfolio holder to maybe visit the individuals with the city.
I will do that.
I think Sean Soren's on there. I think Trevor Ernst is on there. I think that one other gentleman is on there, and I know Blaine Dukart is kind of the runs with that with Leonard Schwint. So
Okay, I will call them. Stark County Systems User Policy.
So do we have to make a motion or anything on that, or, I mean, if he, we just let it ride?
Well, we're not taking any action.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, that's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
And did you already approve Shelley? I don't remember if you guys, okay.
I think we just, I'll look into it until the next meeting and bring more information.
I have an answer.
Oh, okay.
If we want to go back to the other board that we need one for the Stark County Housing Authority Board, I checked the sheet I have, and Ken, yes, you were nominated to that board. Bernie is on it. There was only one open spot, and their recommendation was this Wendy Moffett. That's who they recommended for the board. Then there's obviously this one other application, but we only need one person appointed to that board.
In addition to Bernie and myself?
You're already on that board.
But, okay, so you're saying one more?
We have one more spot. Yep.
Well, first of all, if I'm looking at this correctly, there were, two interested parties?
Correct.
First of all, I'm not sure we need two county commissioners on that. And I'm happy to say that I'm glad to see that there's other people interested in serving on boards. And if the commission would agree, I would be willing to step down from that board to allow both of these applicants on. And I think it's just a signal of people in the community stepping up to take on some of these things, and I'm happy to step aside.
Okay.
I really am.
With that being said, do I have a motion for both of these?
Madam Chairman, so moved. I move that we appoint Wendy Moffett and Terica Homes to the Stark County Housing Authority, subject to Mr. Zander stepping aside.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Ken, I'll give you another one of mine.
All right.
Stark County Systems User Policy, Joetta Piercy. Hi.
Hi, Commissioners. Joetta Piercy, HR Director. You approved this policy in January, and then the state's attorney did ask that I add paragraph number, ended up being 4 to this policy, specific to the state's attorney and the sheriff's office. So due to their sensitive and confidential information transmitted via email, telephone, or by other electronic means of the Stark County Sheriff's Department and Stark County State Attorney's Office, the following policy applies. Prior to monitoring, gathering, or viewing any of the correspondence, permission must be granted by either the relevant office or relevant agency. And this does not shield them from any applicable open records requirements, though.
And I can give you Jim and I had a long talk about it. We have, emails transmitted that have victim information, which is under Marcy's law, the North Dakota Constitution. We have forensic interviews that involve children that are protected by federal law. We have medical records. We have all of these things that are transmitted via email and things like that, that I cannot sign off on a policy ethically. I think I would put my law license at risk, quite frankly, that allows just anyone to monitor or look into these emails without our permission, because my office and I know Corey's office has the same thing. We have private information that needs to be protected, and just because you work for the county doesn't mean you're necessarily going to have access to it. So that was the reasoning for me requesting that language.
So is this essentially an amendment to the current policy, and that's it?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
a motion would be in order to include paragraph 4
Yes.
to the Stark County Systems User Policy.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? Is there any more discussion? If so, I will ask for roll call vote. Commissioner Marsh?
Aye.
Commissioner Zander?
Aye.
Commissioner Franchek?
Aye.
Commissioner Messer?
Aye.
Chair votes no.
Thank you.
Emergency Assistant Agreement Renewal. Shauna Davenport?
Morning, Commissioners. Shauna Davenport, Director of Emergency Services. This memorandum of understanding for emergency assistance is between Adams County and Stark County. We already have a current MOU with that county. This is just an update on signatures. The last one was signed in 2018. The information within the agreement has not really changed. Everything that is covered is just if we exhausted local resources, then we would have the ability to call out to that neighboring community to assist us in any incidents that we may be having or emergencies. And it just outlines the compensation that would be required in those stances, and then anything else related to the legality of ending a contract or sending our people back to our county if needed during an emergency, things like that. Do you have any questions for me?
I see you,
Go ahead.
I see you've talked to everybody in Adams County about all this already.
Actually, this was presented to me from Adams County, so they approved it on their own first and then are sending it to you now to approve, so.
Okay,
Yep.
Commissioner Messer?
I was just gonna say, this does not substantially change the current.
No.
Okay.
No.
You need a motion to authorize the chair to sign.
Yes,
Okay,
correct.
also move that we authorize the chair to sign the emergency assistance agreement between Adams and Stark County.
I'll second. Dean got that.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? There's no discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And then my next item on the agenda is the electronic communication retention policy. So I'll speak to that before we get to Ms. Arthad's addition of the records request. We, as a IT committee, received a request from the state's attorney's office to compose a policy that would cover our record retention on any electronic communications that would be like your emails, text messages. These can be personal as well, as long as they're related to Stark County business, any kind of social media messaging, voicemail messages, etc. According to North Dakota Century Code, the county has the authority in how long we're going to make this policy stand for. It's pretty broad, Century Code, but it just leaves it up to us. Many of us within the IT committee did reach out to other government agencies and ask them what their current policies are. Some were at 30 days, some were at 90, some 60. So we went with the state's attorney's recommendation when drafting the policy of the 90-day period. Just to confirm, this in no way means that we're telling employees to go out and delete their messages after 90 days. It's just basically putting this policy in place in case they need to because of storage room, or if they're just ready to be done with that issue at that time. And it would just cover us more liability wise. I don't know if you want to touch on that at all, Amanda? Okay.
I have a question.
Commissioner Zander?
So, after 90 days, we can trash everything? Is that basically what this allows us to do?
I mean, everything related to electronic. So like if you're, for say, emailing about a case or a financial document, those original documents that you're speaking to are still going to follow the general retention schedule that's required by state law or federal law. But email that just is correspondence about it, so we don't have to follow that retention schedule.
So, I watch, maybe the wrong news channel, but I watch Fox, I'll say it. Anyhow, I see all these politicians and government employees where, all of a sudden, email from 13 years ago appears. What is somebody gonna, if I delete a message, is somebody else got that message and gonna keep it so it's recoverable?
Maybe I can, so our
Why don't you
county
talk to that?
emails are already all backed up on the server. So those are gonna be there for however long Consolidated keeps them. We've been getting a lot of open records requests lately that have been asking for things like personal text messages, personal emails from, I think one I had from like 2012 to present. Well, if I have a policy that says, look, we only make the county employees retain their text messages for 90 days, I can point to that and say, here's what I have from 90 days forward. I'm not gonna make you try to go back and look and dig and figure out if you have something from all of those years past. And when this was first came up, I reached out to Aaron Burst. I reached out to some other state's attorneys. Aaron Burst said, yeah, I usually say 90 days. 90 days is a good policy because it gives you the individual some time that wants to request it, but it doesn't have so much time where you're asking your employees to use up a bunch of their memory or their storage or things like that. So, obviously if a notice would come in of like impending litigation, then that would go out and it would essentially stop everyone from deleting anything whatsoever. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of where this policy originated from, was just the abundance of open records requests I've been getting, specifically even for those.
Just a quick follow-up question then about that. So if Joe Citizen wants all of my email electronic traffic and all I can do is provide 90 days worth of it, does that concerned citizen have any recourse to go to the server, as you guys pointed out, to
Well, when I get an
recover
open
that?
records request now with Consolidated, I've contacted them and they run a huge search that searches all of their servers for back until perpetuity or however long they keep them, and then they send them to me. And I can tell you those are overwhelming, because the last one with Marathon, we dug through 26 hours of emails from the county email to try to figure out what was relevant, what wasn't, what needed to be redacted, what didn't, things like that. So, I mean, your phones aren't going to be, unless there's a court case, right, where you get issued a subpoena or like a search warrant or something, then that's a different mechanism where they'd be looking for your records through Verizon or AT&T or whoever it is. But I don't know. Did I answer your question?
I don't know. The thing that bothers me about this kind of a policy is it gives us the appearance that we're trying to hide stuff. And we're trying to insulate ourselves from full disclosure, from public view. And
I guess my argument to that would be, right now there's no policy in place. So if you want to clean out your emails and text messages every night, there's nothing stopping you.
I think we could.
I'm just uncomfortable with, putting a date stamp on it, I guess, is my issue. I understand the overwhelming workload that this puts on staff, but I also understand that, people have a right to this information, and I'm not so sure that I'd want to vote to take that away from them.
I guess I actually looked at this as more of a fail-safe, because then there is a policy that says that you have to keep your text message and emails. Right now, there's nothing, so that doesn't prohibit anyone from deleting anything, if that makes sense.
So why doesn't our policy say we can't delete emails, period?
Well,
Ever.
so I think maybe we're getting confused, because the county emails are going to be backed up on the server no matter what. I'm more worried about like text messages that get sent, or private emails or Facebook messages that deal with county business, because a lot of open records are starting to ask for that. And then we're getting into the area where how much memory and storage are you going to make your employees, how long are you going to make them keep all of this stuff?
Right. And then just to throw one more thing into this is that, we all have these. And so if the party seeking this information doesn't get it from the county system, then they're going to come after my personal
Well, they'd have to
email.
come with a subpoena or search warrant, or the AG's office. would have to. That's why, like I said, I think this is a safety policy, because then you can point to the policy that says, well, I kept it for 90 days according to the record retention that we put in place. I don't have it anymore.
But I also know a former county commissioner that somebody went after his personal stuff, and the state's attorney's office, not you,
Yep.
but the upstairs, said, yeah, you need to provide your personal information.
Right, which is why I was asking for this policy, so that we have a set amount of time that people have to keep that. First of all, let me just preface this with, all county business should be going through the county emails anyways. That should just be done, because it makes it so much easier. But I think it's naive to think that there aren't messages sometimes back and forth on text messaging devices or things like that, because that's what happens in today's day and age. So when I get an open records request that asks for all personal text messages, things like that from, 2012, I don't have a policy to point to say, well, I'm not going to be able to get you anything up until, except for of the personal nature, right, on your text messaging, of your Facebook messages, of your personal emails, except for 90 days. Obviously, you can have whatever our server has backed up through the public, or through your county emails, because we've got protections in place for that. So it's up to you guys. I'm trying to make everyone's life a little, what I consider easier, and more clear. But if that's something you're not comfortable with, then we're just not going to have a records retention policy on text messages or electronic communication.
I mean, I think right now we have a server that's up with email, and it didn't get brought in front of this board. It just got in front of, there is email on there. It maybe can be brought off there. It may cost them Stark County taxpayer money. There should be no maybes. If it's on there and you have somebody that is needing that information for possible litigation, there shouldn't be a no to that person.
I don't know that there was a no. I think what was explained through Consolidated was the fact that we've had 3 IT companies in the last year or two, and there was some significant issues with emails when it was brought over. If the board wants to, if you want to bring a motion to the board to look for all of Tom's emails and pay Consolidated, I don't have any issue with that whatsoever. But Consolidated was telling me that they couldn't access them. They didn't have them, that they were gone. And I think there was other employees, one within this, maybe the sheriff's office, that had the same issue.
I could also add that prior to Consolidated coming on board, our backup retention for emails was only set to 1 year. So once Consolidated took over, we moved to an infinite cloud storage. So now it will be infinitely kept in the cloud. And that happens every night. So as long as you don't permanently delete your message that day before it backs up that night on email, it's going to be in our infinite cloud storage. And then they can do the e-discovery process on that information.
And when did that start?
That began when they started, which would be, maybe a year now almost, because we're about to renew the contract. So,
Commissioner Messer?
Yeah, just a quick question. Number one, do you have a recommendation on this? Because I'm kind of about halfway between Commissioner Zander and Amanda. I think 90 days is kind of too short, but I do agree that there should be a time frame on it.
yeah, and the 90 days, of course, is something that you all can decide to extend. That was just the recommendation from her, so that is what I put in. Personally, I guess I completely understand your concerns 100%, but then I look at people that are working on a state level above us, and for instance, like BCI is only keeping theirs for 30 days, and the government's office 30 days. So that just seems to me like, if they're doing it, why would we not? Why would we feel like we shouldn't have that type of policy? That's just how I feel personally.
I just think that, there wasn't, little over a month and a half ago, Stark County was in the paper for public records and not being transparent. And you know what? There was an AG's opinion on it that said we did not follow. Yeah. And I just think, to protect the county, I think we need to categorize as phones, text messages, emails in this, and we need to go and send it in, and we need an attorney general opinion. And that is the only way that we are going to make sure Stark County is protected, and we don't agree with the IT committee and this board that we are not 100% following the law when it comes to record retention.
I mean, essentially, as you all know, it's up to you. So I'm just doing my duty
Yep.
as requested, so.
So if we put X amount of days, X amount of months, X amount of years in that policy, that would be a compliant policy
Yeah,
regarding the state.
it's as the Century Code states, I'll just read it to you. The administrator shall establish a uniform program of standards, procedures, and techniques for the effective management of county, city, and park district records. All county, city, and park district offices, departments, and agencies may establish, utilize, and maintain the uniform program prescribed by the administrator. So it's very much just to your discretion.
And then we get to different parts of Century Code with record retention that is much more strict. I mean, it's way more strict. It's like you do not, so it's just like, I just think that if we just get a clean cut, clear AG's opinion,
We're
then
already following the records retention. This is just the text message. Anything that you're sending on those emails or text messages, if it's, Karen just asked me the other day if it was okay to send minutes from, 1910? Those records that you're talking about already have a rent retention schedule that we are following, and we're following it strictly. I have files in my office that I have to keep for 7 years. That's completely separate than the statute that allows the county to decide how long to keep their text messages, the emails, and things like that. There is a record retention schedule.
I just
That's
think we
already
should,
set out.
I just think we should get it verified.
I'm not going to ask for an attorney general's opinion on this. The statute is clear. I've spoke to Aaron Burst. I've talked to other state's attorneys. There's record retention policies that are all over the IT, North Dakota IT website and the Century Code that we follow. That the law is clear. When you ask for an AG's opinion, it's because the law isn't clear. The law on this is clear that the county has the ability to decide what they want to do as far as a records policy.
The law might, all due respect, the law might be clear to you as the chairman of the board. I'm not going to speak for the other board members. The law is not clear to me. I do not want to go and have people delete. Same thing with Marathon. That just happened 2 months ago. And you had said, Amanda, you sent me a message. If I don't get all those text messages sent to you from last July, I could be criminal offense and this and that. And I looked through everything and got everything to you. And I know this was not in place yet. I understand that.
I'm not going to get into this at this point because I have text messages that other people sent me that you sent them that you didn't hand over. But I'm telling you, the law is clear. I have reached out, and the AG's office is not our legal advisor. I am. The only time the AG's office is appropriate to ask for an AG's opinion is when there's a conflict of law, and there isn't one here. So it's not, I'm not going to burden the AG's office with asking for a legal opinion when the law is clear on it. And I'm the only one at the county level that's authorized to ask for an AG's opinion. And it states, it states that it's appropriate when there is a misunderstanding or a conflict of law, or when the board hasn't been properly advised of the law by the state's attorney. I've advised you of the law. What you guys want to do with it at that point is up to you.
I have a misunderstanding and I have a conflict.
So
I don't have anything against you, and you're legal. I think you do a great job, but I just think that a county commissioner, you're right, we cannot ask for a legal opinion.
Right.
Carla, can I ask a question about the text messages?
Can I jump in for a sec? So I don't see how we're going to come to resolution on this today. But our current policy, and maybe we don't have it in the form of a written policy, but currently all of our electronic messaging is retained. Is that correct?
Our emails are retained, your county
Okay.
emails are. What you do with your text messages on your phone, you do.
Well,
And that's why like I said, because of all of the things with Marathon One Energy and asking for all of these private text messages and things like that that contain county business, it seemed like it was a good protection for the county and an easier process to say, this is how long we make or demand that the employees of Stark County keep their electronic messages.
So I think that's where my confusion was. So if there's nothing in place, and let's say you could delete it tomorrow, right? You had a conversation, you could delete it tomorrow. How could, say, Carla get in trouble from not having text messages from last July if she could have deleted them?
I send out
next day?
when I do that, when I send that out, I send it out as a reminder to say, if you have text messages on your phone and they are not turned over to me, that you haven't deleted, right? You still have them. There could be potential civil and criminal penalties. That's what it says. That's what the law says.
I'm just saying if let's say she deleted them because there's no policy in place.
Then that's what it is.
Then nobody can come back and say nothing can come after you unless if they had wanted to pay the cell phone company to look up all those.
Well, not
text
even that. Then you'd need a
messages.
court order.
A court order.
It would be if someone knew that there was an open records request in place, and then people started deleting their text messages or willfully weren't handing them over. And that's what I'm trying to
If they still
express.
have
You still
them.
have them.
Okay.
Right.
That's what I was wondering.
well, are text messages recoverable too? I mean, from.
Well, I'm not gonna start sending subpoenas to Verizon or AT&T. If the AG's office wants to or a private attorney wants to, then fine.
Okay. But let's just say if I want to recover past text messages, do I just go to my phone provider and say, hey, send me everything?
I don't know. I
I
suppose
don't
that's
need
up to your.
I don't need a court order to gather my own information, do
I don't think so. I can't imagine that you would. Yeah.
They'd probably charge you a fee though.
Yeah, probably.
It's a complicated
I think we
issue.
should have a policy.
I'm not saying we shouldn't have a policy, I'm just not.
And if government is 30, I mean, like the state, a lot of state stuff is 30 days, we're tripling that with the 90 days. Do we want to go to 120 days? I think that's just a question that we have right now is how many days we want to go, but I think we should have a policy in place.
I just have a big issue I don't know what the problem is, and you are right, the county commissioners can't get an AG opinion, so I don't know what the problem is of getting an AG's opinion. If all the research is there and everything, he is going to be able to check off a box and say, yes, this is right, no, this isn't right. It's the protection of the commissioners to make sure we're doing everything right.
Well,
It is the job of the state's attorney, and it is the job of the AG to give us that insight.
I can tell you that it says right from his website, some situations are unsuited for an opinion. This includes when the question presented should be or already has been addressed by the political subdivision's legal advisor. That is what I am doing. It's unsuited for
I
an
think we're
opinion.
talking apples and oranges here too. So the apple is we need to put a policy that has a time limit on the data that Amanda's bringing forth. The other part of it is, that, the issues that you're talking about. So I'd like to see us move forward, put a time frame on it, at least as a starting point, so that we move forward in the correct, righteous position, so that we have some guidelines for not only commissioners, but all our employees, our department heads, all this kind of stuff. So for me, Bernie, I would err more on the side of caution. I would start at 180 days. That would be me, but I'm just 1 of 5, whatever it is.
So
I think that's too long.
Okay. Getting back to Attorney General opinion, I'm guessing what the attorney, you can make the request and they'll just send you a letter back and say, no, we're not giving you opinion on it. Because
It's essentially kind of a misuse of their office. I mean, I've already advised the commission.
But they have done that in the past where you can make a request and they'll just send you a form letter back saying, no, thank you.
That takes time from my office and from their office.
Oh, I
and-
understand.
Yeah.
But that's where it would go, in my opinion.
But it protects the county and it protects us commissioners.
I'm the legal advisor. I'm the protection for the county. And I've thoroughly researched this.
Madam Chairman, I would move that we adopt the aforementioned policy with a time frame of 180 days retention policy on personal devices.
Do you want to clarify electronic communication records? or you
However
just-
we should
okay.
word it. But
What was the time frame?
What's the electronic, what is the?
180 days. I'll start
That
there
would
and I'm open
include,
to.
I'll just read what it says on here, includes but not limited to email, instant messaging, social network, messages, text messaging, work and personal if related to Stark County business, and voicemail messages.
I'll look for a second for discussion.
I'll second, but I think it should be shorter than 180 days. I think 120, 100, or 90.
You have on there electronic, with email. So are you talking about work email? Are you talking about personal email?
Yeah, well, technically, it's either or, because even if you go into your work email and delete it, it's backed up on our sites, so it doesn't matter. It's just, in regards to how we are as an IT committee, it's just promoting efficiency and making sure we have valuable storage on our devices instead of expecting everyone to keep it in their inboxes and all folders.
Why are
Just
we
be
even
backed
talking
up.
about this if it gets backed up immediately in the evening?
Well, because there's
On the email part of it all?
Talking about personal stuff, though, the text is, and it's not, you're talking about the email for the county, and we're talking about, this is for your personal texting and.
She said work and personal.
It's both.
But it's backed up, that part is backed up, so you'd have it.
So it's basically just telling them if they don't want to keep it in their inbox, they can delete it because it's backed up. We already know that.
I'd be okay with this motion on the contingency of an AG's opinion.
I just think it's too long.
You've got a motion and a second, but
Oh,
I'm not comfortable with it at this point. I need more assurances that this traffic is recoverable by the public, and that is there going to be an expense borne by the public to, and when I say the public, I mean the person or persons soliciting the request, if they want this information from a year ago or whatever, it's recoverable based on what you're telling us
Yes. and I
off of a
confirm-
server. Does that person then incur a fee to get that? And currently, we do have a fee for all of the recoverable open records, correct?
Right, so the first hour is free, and then it's $25 an hour after that, and we have been charging that, and actually that will segue into Consolidated's contract, because of the amount of open records I have been getting.
Yeah.
They are now adding to their contract, I think it's a per hour labor, that they are gonna charge for them, when I ask for open records for them to go in and do searches,
Well, the
which is
fee-
borne by the county.
Yeah, but, your fee on that is a whole nother issue, because unless you're working for $25 an hour now, but,
Well, I call a question.
can I ask one more question, Bernie?
Sure.
Thanks. Can we have a policy or language in this policy that addresses how the public has access to it? I mean, am I making this too complicated?
Kind of, yeah.
We just have to make sure, in a way, I don't think Ken is, because this is for public record. We are limiting public record
So all they have to do
to
is
an
make
extent.
Only if you're using your personal devices to conduct county business, which you should be limiting anyways. Other than that, all of your county business should be through your county email,
That's
which is
recoverable.
backed up forever on Consolidated.
Right.
Unless somebody sends it, there was a time where departments didn't communicate to me on my county, and they would send it to my personal email or text me. And it wasn't that I was trying to conduct business behind the scenes. That's just the way.
Address. So if they have an issue that's in front of the county, they will send it to my email address. Hey, da, this is my feeling.
Yeah.
Well, what I do is then, to make it simple, I just forward that to my county email address, so it's in there.
Right, I've done that too.
So I think.
And I do that now, but before there was open records coming in 3 or 4 a week, I didn't pay any attention to it. But in the last 4 years or so, or maybe more, all of a sudden, open records, and I'm not naming names, but a lot of those requests were coming from 1 or 2 different people. And
But you said you would have to be subpoenaed to hand.
Well, so if you
those
have a
over,
policy
if
in
you
place,
deleted.
right, with the text messages, I can say, our policy is that we hold text messages for 90 days. Here's what I can provide you. I've asked for that. If it's beyond that time, Stark County does not require individuals to retain their personal text messages, emails, things of that nature. That's how it's a safety net as far as I'm concerned, for the county.
And if it would help to we could absolutely, in my opinion, add personal email in here. If you just wanted to say personal email related to Stark County business, like I did under text messaging, so.
Yes, I would
That
like
would be more comfortable.
I would like the word work definitely out of there.
Okay. Oh, I think that was just on the text messaging line. I meant that in regards to if you were doing, yeah.
Okay, we have a motion on the table to go for 180 days. Was that your motion, Neil?
Subject to amendment, yep.
Subject to amendment, okay. And did we have a second on that?
I second it.
Okay, or Commissioner Messer,
Aye.
Commissioner Franchek,
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh,
Nay.
Commissioner Zander,
nay.
Chair votes nay.
And can I make a follow-up motion to
Yes.
table this for more information for individual commissioners to counsel with our state's attorney in regards to this information, and that it be brought up at our April meeting, on the agenda for April.
I think there should be a committee formed. And so we can look into this.
The IT committee that presented this.
Yes.
This is coming from the IT committee.
Yes.
I understand, but I think that a lot of the questions I have and Amanda's
Well, that's fine.
done a good job, and so I'm just saying, I need to
I have
counsel a
no
little.
problem with that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
This isn't a reflection, my issue is not a reflection to the committee.
No.
no. And I just meant a committee just to look at the public records. I mean, I'm on the IT committee too. It's not about the IT.
Well,
part of it. I mean, I didn't mean it like that.
I'm just fulfilling a
Well, I didn't either. I
request
just
from
we
our
already have a
legal
committee.
advisor,
Yep.
so I don't take any offense. So
Okay.
I'm fine.
Okay,
I think we have enough information here to make a decision, but that's fine if individuals are not comfortable with that, whatever. So,
Okay. Well, if you do make changes and I need to make changes to the policy, just have Amanda can relay it to me or whatever the case. Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, do you want to talk about the just the contract that we got from Consolidated?
Yes.
While we're on this
Yes.
policy.
Chair, Madam Chair, I have a motion from Ken to table this. Do you want to withdraw that or?
Well, there was no second, so it just goes away by itself.
Okay.
Thank you.
What, do you want to,
We would bring it back up whenever we,
After you guys
Yeah.
have your discussions, I'll just put it back on the agenda or something.
we have a motion from Ken to table it till next meeting. Let's just follow through. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'm going to do roll call. Commissioner Messer,
Nay.
Commissioner Franchuk,
No.
Commissioner Marsh,
Aye.
Commissioner Zander.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
And then I'm sorry, I don't have the Consolidated's new contract in front of me, because it wasn't technically on the agenda, but it's related to this. We are at the end of our yearly contract with Consolidated, and they presented us a new contract at the last IT meeting. Most of the provisions, thank you. Most of the provisions within the contract remain the same. There was some verbiage changes, but it did not really change the scope of the contract. They did up their fee. We were at 90,000 a year. They upped it to 100,000. I proposed in the meeting, because that contract was off of our calendar year, so it didn't really fall within our budget. I asked if instead they could change the wording to where we would just, on the next payment that would be coming up, we would go up in cost to a monthly fee of, I believe it's $8,333.34. And that will just carry us until the end of December, and then they can be part of our regular budget discussions. So I felt like that would be easier on everyone. And the other things that they added to exclusions of not being part of that contract were equipment disposal, which we've been in talks in the IT committee to do that through Indy Shred. And then open records requests, like Mrs. Arthot said, they would be charging that at a hourly labor rate, and that is $109 an hour. Is there anything you want to add from that?
I thought that was a very good recommendation from Shauna to implement it like she did, so then we didn't have this coming up every year here and there out of the budget.
Yeah.
So to change it like this, so they are on the budget
Felt like
in
it would be
September,
cleaner
October.
and easier.
Yes.
So we're not amending.
You need good move.
I just want to, I know when we had the contract last year, we'd made just a little bit of verbiage change, and I want to make sure it's reflected in that. I haven't seen it yet, so if you
Okay.
do make a motion to accept it, will you just accept it upon my approval or looking at it? I just want to make sure that verbiage we agreed to on the last contract is in this one.
That sounds good.
I make a motion that we accept it with our state's attorney's approval.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Commissioner Marsh,
Aye.
Commissioner Zander,
Aye.
Commissioner Franchuk,
Aye.
Commissioner Messer.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carried.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
And can
Thank you.
Email me that, and I'll look at it by then.
Double
Okay.
seconding everything today, so.
County selling delinquent properties.
Okay. I added that to the agenda because I've had some discussions with Amanda with the delinquent properties from last year that didn't sell. And where I was at with that is I've had some phone calls about somebody wanting to make an offer on some of those properties that are for sale. And as it stands right now, I can't, if they wanted to come in and buy it from the county, they have to pay the minimum sales price offer. We can't accept like offers per se. Like if the minimum sales price is $52,000 and they came in, the delinquent taxes owed is the assessments and such. These are all City of Dickinson properties. The delinquent taxes owed are special assessments from the City of Dickinson that we don't have a right to waive. So with that being said, we couldn't in no way sell a property less than what the delinquent taxes are. But let's say somebody wanted to come in and offer $40,000 for a property, and our minimum sales price is set at 52. I can't entertain those offers, and the commission cannot entertain those offers because you guys set the minimum sales price at 52. So what I know that the discussions I've had with Amanda when it comes with this is we did make an offer to the City of Dickinson, and then it was re-indacted. My offer to the City of Dickinson is all those delinquent taxes that are owed to the City of Dickinson. So I would just like the county to personally let them have them, and then they can take care of them if they want them at a low price, because we can't keep the excess proceeds anyways anymore. I know that we had made an offer and then it was re-indacted by Amanda for these properties. We were going to sell them to the City of Dickinson, which a lot of counties do for $1, because we can't keep the excess proceeds anyways. But it was taken back. And now when I had this discussion with Amanda, I think it would be good for the commission to kind of decide we need to offer them back to the city at a price that the city would be comfortable with. I know, Neil, you're shaking your head over there. This is what me and Amanda discussed, and this is what her letter that was sent out talked about.
Okay, so you're right. On the top one, 52,000, if somebody came in and offered $51,999 by statute, we are required to reject that bid. We can only reestablish prices. Used to be once a year, and then Amanda and I worked on the build so you can do that, but you still have to readjust the price, you still have to give notice, and you still have to publish it in order to reduce the price. The other point that you bring up, and is the problem with the state statute in regarding crediting back previous ownership, if you do in fact sell the property for more than what it's going is it doesn't take a look at the whole picture, and it's a flawed system with the legislature. We could have 10 properties out there. The one in Richardson's a classic example. We had $3,000 or $4,000 in delinquent taxes. We put a fair market value on it at $9,000, but we found asbestos, so we had to go pay $18,000 to get the asbestos removed. And then, because we had the minimum sales price there, we sold it for $9,000. So we as a county lost $12,000 on that deal. And so the state statute that got put in place last session doesn't account. I mean, they're dealing with counties that have single properties, and it doesn't have any ability for us to do an offset. And so we just went through this. We established these prices in November, December, correct me if I'm wrong. And I think the answer should be, to point your question, is if someone calls in, whether it's an individual or someone who's dealing with a realtor, is that the only option is full price. Okay. At some point, if we give it back to the city, I mean, there's county dollars in there too. Because if you own a property in the city, you're not just paying city taxes, you're paying county taxes, park board, fire district, all these other kind of things. So I don't know, I disagree with the premise of giving it back to the city for $1. I know they have this abatement process that if it does sell, but it would be my wish that at the next session, we change this policy to make it local control, because now the state's dictating to us how we handle our delinquent properties and the establishment of price, and I think that's flat wrong.
Now, when you said some of those county dollars, the previous properties that we were doing, they abated out any sort of, the only thing that wasn't abated out was we couldn't abate out we couldn't let go of the city of Dickens.
I got tired of watching them, made me even more crazy.
I'm sorry. The conversation that I had, the previous state's attorney, Tom Henning, approved those taxes to be abated out. And so the only thing that was left for delinquent taxes that we couldn't excuse ourselves are the city specials. And that was done incorrectly.
Even on the Fisher lots here, because we didn't take ownership of those until October.
Those ones might have maybe a year's worth of the, like maybe $1,000 of that is county tax. All the rest is city of Dickinson.
Well, I if I go pull the file, I know of the 33,000, I know how many dollars of those are specials, and we agreed at the November meeting we would sell this subject to the remaining specials, so that if a buyer came forward, he or she would have to assume those specials. I mean, I'm one of five. I'm just saying the policy that the state dictates to us to sell delinquent properties that we have gotten back via the tax deed is a flawed process, because they don't give us credit for the 9 out of 10 properties that we lose money on. So, that's my process.
And I don't disagree with you, Neil, because you are absolutely right. And if we tear down a house, we are able to take that out of the above and beyond overage. I don't necessarily agree with the state's policy on this either, but Manda did send over, we do have to offer them to the city. Is that correct?
If you want to sell them by, so it's the statute says property that is subject to a special assessment levy for improvements made by a city must be first offered for sale to the city. That's if you're going to try to sell them by a non-exclusive listing agent. If someone's just going to come in with full price, then no, they can be, but
they have to come in with full price.
Right? Yeah.
So the city would be better, as the statute currently sounds, the city would be better off buying these from the county, and then they're able to keep the excess proceeds, right? The city is. The county just isn't.
That's not totally clear, but yeah, you bring up a point. You sell it to the city for $50, and then they turn around and sell it for $52,000. They have to subtract out the specials or whatever, but the statute is vague in regarding that the cities may or may not have more rights in selling delinquent properties than the county does. That's my point. I want it to be clear, and that we should be able to conduct our business the way we want. That's where I'm at. So, I mean, it's 3 lots. It's not the end of the world. I just think it's bad state policy that's being dictated top down, and it doesn't allow us to do what we need to do to. It's a poor representation or a poor of the taxpayers of the county if we sit here and lose 3,000, 3,000, 3,000, and then we have an opportunity to kind of mellow these out or wash these out. And then all of a sudden, not only do we, if we do get more money, we got to give it back to the person who was delinquent. Mm-hmm. So that gives an incentive to people to go out and buy a bunch of property, become delinquent, because if on speculation, if the property goes up in value, guess what? You get your money back. It's not a good policy. And
so am I under the impression, Neil, that you would rather sit on the properties as it is because of the statute that they have at the state than offer them back to Dickinson?
Well,
or
I mean, we set a value on them, and the values we set on the 52, the 56, or I don't have it open right now, are realistic values. There aren't very many good R2 lots in the city available. These happen to be 3 of them. I'm just telling you that. And so I would try to fix the process first, and then the lot that's up there right now, that's not even a buildable lot. There's one buyer for that lot in the whole city of Dickinson. That's the adjacent property owner, because that lot is too small to build on. And so the only person, it is one buyer. Well, you're really going to get kind of dinged on that one, because there's only one person who can buy that property. So anyway, I'm done talking. I'll get off my soapbox.
So what do you want to do?
I want to keep the policy we have right now. We said it in November. Let's ride the storm out. We have an opportunity to reassess or revalue these properties at any time we want. subject to the notifications and publication requirements. We could do it next month. My wish would be that we ride this out until the next legislative session.
Make a motion.
Well, we don't have to do anything.
Take no action.
Policy.
No action. Okay.
Sorry.
It's okay. Tyler Tech Accountant Receivable Software.
Okay, the Tyler Tech accounts receivable software, so currently my office uses, we use Tyler Technologies for our accounting system. We use Infinite Visions and we use TaxWise. Our Infinite Visions is what we use mainly for our accounting, and we have our accounts payable, our payroll, and everything in Infinite Visions. But we do not have the accounts receivable portion because when they were looking at it, they didn't want to pay for it, and they didn't think that it was easy enough to understand at the time. So currently in my office, we have our regular accounting software, and then we also use Quicken and QuickBooks for the accounts receivable portion. And I would like to just have it all in to, me and my deputy auditor went down to Minot to look at their system because they also use Tyler Technologies and they have the accounts receivable portion in theirs. And it just makes sense to just have it all in one program and not have Quicken and QuickBooks along with our Infinite Visions that we use for payables. So I guess what I'm looking for with the commission is the software itself costs, the $3,906 is how much the software costs. And then we have for the implementation and project management, they are looking at $2,100. So once we pay the initial one-time fees, every year the accounts receivable portion will, and it'll make our reporting more accurate, will come to $1,050 after the initial price. So with that being said, for this year, to get the accounts receivable up and going, pay for the software that we already, and get rid of QuickBooks and Quicken, we would be looking at $7,056. And then next year and the years after, it would be $1,050. It's just the initial install. So I'm looking from the commission of just cleaning up what we have and moving forward is an approval for the $7,056 to get it up and going this year. And I would make the suggestion out of, we still have 2020 CARES Act funding money available, and that would by far cover that amount without using anything else. And I'm just looking to get this approved so I can get it rolling forward.
Do we have any extra IT, since this is kind of IT too with the accounts? Do we have anything in there?
The only line that it could potentially come out of in IT is the reserve, which I guess I would rather just take it out of CARES Act funding because that funding is supposed to go back into the general anyways and not use up the reserve for IT in case you guys have anything else that comes up.
Okay.
So you're saying it qualifies for CARES?
Well, CARES Act doesn't have any strings attached, and we still have some money available in there. This isn't ARPA funding.
Oh, okay, never mind.
The ARPA funding is all the strings.
I would, I'll make a motion to approve the change as requested by the auditor's office on the accounts receivable discussion. Tyler Technologies.
I'll second that. Does this include training for you guys?
They will give us our manuals. I'm working with them on the training. It's kind of been a back and forth thing. But when they say implementation, that should be the training portion right there. So as far as I know, it does include
Would there be some cost savings then, were you dropping the Quicken in that? Is there?
I was gonna ask, yeah.
Well, Quicken and QuickBooks isn't necessarily very expensive yearly for the county. It's a separate software that isn't integrated into Tyler Technology. So when I run reports, you're using you're using all these different softwares, and Quicken and QuickBooks don't come into my reports that I run for basically any reports that we run out of Tyler Technologies, which is all the end of the year report, all the tracking, everything like that. It's just like a basic check register is what Quicken and QuickBooks is. That's all we use it for that and invoicing. So we use Quicken for balancing the bank statements, and then QuickBooks for sending out invoices. That was their solution for not having purchased the software when they originally did it.
Okay, thanks.
So this will all be combined into Tyler now.
Yes.
See, I had a motion on the table by Mr. Zander. Did I have a second?
Yep.
Yeah. Mr. Messer.
Okay. Follows some money, so will Mr. Zander.
Aye.
Mr. Messer.
Aye.
Commissioner Messer. Commissioner Franchik.
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh. Aye. Ms. Chair votes aye.
And can we add that will be paid out of the 2020 CARES Act funding? You're
Yes,
good with that?
yep,
Okay.
yep.
Just want to verify. So it's on record.
Okay, you have one more thing, Karen, then you're done.
Oh,
No, I'm joking.
I hope so. I can't talk.
Auditor Treasurer office closure March 3rd.
Yep, I just wanted to put it out there that the reason why we're being closed, the Auditor Treasurer office, is I have half my group from the Auditor's office going on training for Wednesday and Thursday's all day, and then the other half goes Thursday and Friday. So all of us will be in election training on Thursday, and so our auditor office will be closed on Thursday.
Is it just your office then? No, none of the other department?
Yep, so when people come in, we're gonna change our voicemail to say that we're closed that day, but when people come in, our security is gonna ask them what they're here for, and if they're here for tax or anything like that, tax department or something like that, they can Natalie will still be here,
Okay.
just not the auditor office.
I know a lot of times these other offices, when it comes to election stuff, they're kind of helping you guys out off and on, so they don't need to go to this training.
Actually, Mike is going to the equipment portion because he moves around her equipment a lot. But no, other than my office and Mike, and then I do the trainings for once we come back. Yep.
Good, thank you.
Yep. And then open records.
I did that records request right here, or open records.
Oh, so we're good. That's everything.
Any other discussion?
Madam Chairman, just a request at the mercy of the rest of the commission. On the May 3rd commission meeting, I will be out of town, Washington DC, and it's tough to do the call-in on that date, but if anybody would have any interest, I'd be back by that Thursday if we could do the meeting then. It's, again, if it's a conflict based on the previous schedule being set and adapted early in the year, if fine, but if not, it'd be much easier to be back on that Thursday.
I'm good with it. Just tell me where to be.
Should that be on the 5th?
5th.
Ms. Singlestead, when we make that motion at the beginning of the year, when all the meetings are gonna be, is that gonna matter with this?
Or you can change it, you just have to give notice. Publish it correctly.
So,
Unless there's a better day that works. But
I think we have to do it kind of towards the beginning for bills, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
So, okay, so May 5th, Thursday, May 5th, Same time, same place.
Please.
9 o'clock at the Commissioners' Room at the Stark County Courthouse.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yep, change it from May 2nd.
Can I make the motion?
Yeah, May 3rd.
So we moved the May meeting from May 3 to May 5 for the monthly county commission meeting.
I'll second.
Approved and seconded. Roll call vote, Commissioner Messer.
Aye.
Commissioner Franchek.
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh.
Aye.
Commissioner Zander.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Is there any more comments? If not, I would ask for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion or meetings adjourned.